My name is Fred Mays. I've worked for the GBI for 40 years and several months. I started working for the GBI July the 1st, 1982. I started school in 1968. I went to Smith Bond Elementary School, which was all black elementary school. But in 1969, the schools was integrated. And I was one of the test kids, so I was one of the first African-American kids that went to Stockbridge Elementary. And so my mom was afraid, and she came and picked me up and took me back to the African-American school. And then they bussed me back over to the Stockbridge Elementary, the white school. So that went on for about 2 or 3 days. And finally they called my mama in and said, look, we're gonna make sure nothing happened to your baby and he's gonna be all right. And after that, that's when they integrated the whole school system there in Stockbridge. I went off to college when I graduated high school in 1980, and I was pursuing a degree in criminal justice. I got hurt playing football, so I came home to recuperate. And while I was home recuperating, I met the director of the GBI at the time, Phil Peters, at a church picnic. And we had a conversation. I told Director Peters that I was majoring in criminal justice and my dream job would be a GBI agent. And he told me at that time, if I promised him to continue to pursue my college degree, he would hire me, which blew me out the water. I had no idea that I could become a GBI agent that early and that young. And so I went through the process. I was 19 years old at the time when the GBI hired me. The Human Resource Department contacted the director and said I needed to wait till I turned 20 before I actually came on as a narcotics agent. So he told me to come back July the 1st, and that's when I started my career, July the 1st, 1982, and there was very few African-American agents at the GBI at the time. My first assignment was an undercover operation in Macon, Georgia in 1982 for like 3 or 4 months, buying drugs from drug dealers there in Macon, Georgia. I was a narcotics agent from 1982 to 1984, and after I graduated the police academy in 1986, I was assigned to the Atlanta Regional Drug Enforcement Office. So I was still working narcotics, but on a major level. In 1993, I was transferred to the Atlanta Regional Office, Region 10 Conyers office, and worked general investigations. I conducted many undercover investigations. Most of them were in South and Middle Georgia during my narcotics career. And I know that, at the time, black GBI agent was unheard of. So yes, I was stopped many times in the small cities in South Georgia. Sometimes I was illegally searched and harassed. Sometimes I had an Atlanta tag on my car. And the first thing they think that, okay, he's from Atlanta in that area, he's bringing drugs down here. So I would get stopped. But things have changed, times have changed. But back then, a black GBI agent was unheard of. So it was easy for me to work undercover. But there was a lot of corruption then. And I'm sure it still is now, but it's not as prevalent. One that comes to memory is my first homicide case. It was a Claudette Fissick case. She was a young co-ed, 19 years of age, and she was 3 months pregnant, and her boyfriend murdered her. It started out as a missing person case, but it ended up as a homicide. I worked that case for several months. Myself and Detective Mike Christopher from Marietta Police Department. We ended up arresting her boyfriend, Jason Ragland, and as a matter of fact, he's still in prison to this day. I became very close with her family. They became like family members to me. And to this day, me and Miss Fissick, Claudette's mother, still communicate and talk. Claudette's brother, Craig Jr., he is a Boy Scout leader, and he's come here to GBI on a couple occasions with his scout team and gave him a tour of the GBI. At the time, and I think I still am, I was the youngest agent ever hired at the GBI, and now I'm the longest tenured agent here at the GBI. This month, it would make 40 years and 7 months that I have worked for the GBI. Every chance I get, I try to go out and mentor the young people, teenagers, I never turned down an invitation to talk to a group of teenagers, especially African American males and females, to be a role model, to talk to young people about making the right decisions, doing the right thing, stay away from drugs, stay away from violence, stay away from bullying. And I have a passion for the elderly too. I do not like to see an elderly person being abused, talked down to. And with children, a lot of times when I have my GBI uniform on, gun and badge, kids are fascinated with that. And I always take the opportunity to try to talk to kids when I see them staring at me. But I mean, it makes me feel good to be a role model, to let kids know cops are not bad. We're not here to put you in jail or to hurt you or whatever. You know, we're here to help. And that's why I always try to take the opportunity to interact with kids, especially when I'm wearing a gun and a badge out in public. I love this job. I love this agency. I love to tell people I'm a GBI agent. I have worked for 5 different directors. So as long as the directors keep me, I want to continue to work here at the GBI. I love what I do. I love this agency.